We know that there is special packaging for true hazardous materials. As long as we're shipping in the manufacturer's case, in most instances, it'll already be in that UN specification packaging. When we take out a bottle here or there to ship to a customer, that we have to make sure we repackage that into a proper hazardous material package. But packaging is a very important part of the hazardous material piece. Products not properly packaged, risk of transporting as well as the likelihood of it leaking become much greater. So as long as we package it right, we use good quality, strong packaging that hasn't been compromised, chances of it making it to a destination are much greater than if the package doesn't meet standard. Some of the terminology, we've got bulk packaging and non-bulk. For the most part, 99.9% of what we ship out of here is going to be considered a non-bulk package. Bulk is defined as for liquid capable of holding over 119 gallons. Now I know you have some totes that you ship. That's all non-hazardous material that are shipped in those totes, but they could be used for hazardous material products. If there were hazardous materials in there, then they're considered bulk. There's special markings that we have to put on bulk packages, as well as when that's loaded on the truck, the placards are different. They're the numbered placards that would have to go on the outside of the vehicle. For solids, it's capable of holding over 882 pounds, and for gas, over 1,000 kg. The only one you most likely will ever run into would be a liquid hazardous material. You know, if they did the windshield wash in one of those 220-gallon totes, then that would be considered a bulk hazardous material. Single packages, those would be our drums, pails, whether it's a 5-gallon, 55-gallon, or somewhere in between, those would be considered a single package. We looked at, there's some product out there that's in a 5-gallon, kind of a rectangular shaped pail or drum, and that would be considered a drum as well when you're describing it on the paperwork. Combination packaging, this is probably the norm for us, and that's where you have a bottle that goes inside a box or multiple bottles in a box. It's the combination of the two, the bottle as well as the outside packaging, that make up the completed package. And then in addition to that is what we call a composite package, and that's where you have like a bag and a box. You couldn't have one without the other. If you take the bag out, it's just going to kind of, there's not going to be any form to it. Similar to a box of wine, okay? You guys ever had a box of wine with the fancy stuff? It's in a composite package. There's a bladder inside that box where if you took it out, it's not going to function correctly. So you need both the box and the internal bladder in order to be a complete package. As far as package testing goes, there's a series of tests that every hazardous material package has to be able to withstand. And we do a drop test, stacking, leak-proofness test. It's all based on what we're going to put in it, how much weight we're going to put in it, and the packing group. The packing group affects the drop test. The more dangerous a product it is, the higher I've got to drop that package from. Stacking test is based on the weight we're going to have in that completed package, or the maximum weight for the stacking test. Leak-proofness test, and one of the US only ones is the vibration test. Once it passes all those tests, it can be marked with the UN stamp, seal, and packaging information. Well, here in the US, and we're the only country in the world that has to do this, every 2 years I've got to test this box again, in exactly the same way I did it the first time. A lot of people don't understand is I've got to close this package exactly the same way it was when it was tested. Okay, Uline puts closure instructions on here. If I were to open up a case of product, let's say this case was actually stapled shut. Okay, you guys see the metal staples, right? If it was stapled shut and I opened it up, took a gallon out, somebody wants 3 gallons, so I seal it back up and I tape it, is that correct? Technically no, because it was stapled when it was tested. I would have to close it in the exact same manner as it was when it was tested. Some of them will even be very specific as the type of tape you use. And I've had a customer that's been audited by the FAA on the tape, saying we were using the wrong tape or they were using the wrong tape based on the packing instructions that box was tested with. So as long as we don't mess with that package, it should be sealed correctly and in accordance with their testing. But if we open it up, we've got to close it in the exact same manner it was done when we opened it. Okay, whether it's hot glue or staples or clear tape or the craft reinforced tape. That UN specification marking is mandatory. If I don't have this on the box or I don't have that on the drum, then it technically is not correct. Even if it was tested, if we don't have the symbol, it's not correct. The information that follows that tells me the type of packaging, the material it's made out of, how much weight I can put in there, and the packing group or performance standard that box or package was tested to. Okay, so here 4G, 4 is box, G is the material it's made out of, which is fiberboard, is the technical name. We have a lot of plastic and steel drums. If you go look at those drums, most of them, even if there's not hazardous material in them, will have a UN seal or UN stamp or marking on the product. A drum is a 1, and A is steel and H is plastic. There's a code for each type of material, for each type of packaging. The Y is the packing group it was tested to. So instead of making it easier and putting 1, 2, and 3 on here, they did X, Y, and Z. If it was a 1, that would be an X. So it's X, Y, and Z. X is packing group 1, Y, which is going to be all our packages, okay, or packing group 2, and then Z is packing group 3. This box is tested to packing group 2 standards. Could I put a packing group 3 material in this box? Yeah, right? Because I'm taking a box that was tested at a higher standard and putting a less hazardous product in it. Now could I use this box for a packing group 1 material since it's a Y? No, I couldn't. Okay, I can go overkill, but I can't go the other direction. And then we've got the maximum weight that I can put in this box in kilograms. They test the boxes to a certain standard, and as long as we fall within or below that range, we're good. S is just the code says it's designed for solids or some type of inner container. Okay, I can't put a liquid in this box without being in a bottle or bag or something. Now we've got the year the package was actually manufactured. Remember I told you they have to be retested every 2 years. If it takes us 4 years to use these up, we can continue to use them. But if you had boxes made for you and you ran 5 years worth, you can use them for the next 5 years. The information on here doesn't correspond to the testing information. Now, do I need to worry about this packaging for gases? Class 2, there's no packing group. So Class 2, I don't have to use special hazardous material boxes. That container's already got to be specially designed to hold the gas. Whether it's an aerosol can or a cylinder. So that's the reason, the cylinder or the aerosol can's already got specifications drawn up for it. It doesn't have to go in any special packaging for shipping ground. Just like the paperwork, consumer commodities, limited quantities, as well as Class 2.1 and 2.2 do not require the hazardous material packaging. So with the Freon, if I took it out of the box, I could put it in a different box, just a regular Fleet Pride box, and it's fine. I take a gallon of this product out, I've got to put it into, since it's a full hazmat, it's in hazardous material packaging, I'm going to have to put it into a different hazardous material box. We always want to use a package that's authorized. There are some hazardous materials that are not compatible with certain inner containers, but we're not filling anything. We're using basically what the manufacturers sent to us. Fiberboard boxes are typically going to be authorized for anything that we ship out of here. Make sure that it's compatible with the contents, meet all the filling limits. That's going to be making sure we don't exceed any weights as far as the UN spec packaging. Follow the closure instructions. Once again, very important. However they say, these guys actually used a 3M 375 clear tape. Maximum tape must be overlap the sides by 2 inches. So that means when I tape this up, I got to go at least 2 inches down on both sides. All right, UPS has some of their own variations, and I know we're not doing a lot UPS, but they want you to use newer like new packages. They won't accept, and that's changed. A single package is like a 5-gallon pail. Okay, they used to not take those because they weren't conveyable, but they will take them now. They don't want you to mix different hazard classes unless it's authorized, and they'll allow a maximum of 3. So if you got an order with 3 hazmat items on there, that program's designed to print all 3 descriptions, and show it's packed into one fiberboard box. You got to use a minimum 200-pound burst or 32 ECT box. That's kind of the minimum standard. Back to the LTL, the truck drivers, they don't look at the packaging. They really don't look at the labeling. All they care about is the paperwork. Paperwork's correct, they're going to accept it. If there's anything wrong with paperwork, they're going to make you fix it. They don't look at all the other stuff that we have to fix if we're going to ship UPS or to be 100% correct.